Today I'm going to show you the silent mistake that so many men make during separation that decimates their chances at reconnecting with their wife. If you're currently separated from your wife, there's a good chance you're terrified of making a mistake that will seal the end of your marriage for good. Separation isn't just creating distance between you and your wife. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand what the mistake is that crushes most men's chances at reconnection, and why separation is the greatest opportunity to turn both yourself and your marriage into the best they have ever been. I know it can really feel like life has completely stopped when you're dealing with the uncertainty of a separation. You still go to work, pay your bills, and do all the administrative aspects of your life as best you can, but internally, everything feels sort of frozen in time. You spend a lot of time from when you wake up to when you go to bed contemplating what is next, but mostly just thinking about her. A lot of phone checks to see if she's messaged, and basically wondering what she is doing, if she's talking to someone else, or if she's missing you in any shape or form. Then the next day you do it again, and the day after that. So time goes by, months can go by, and it really feels frozen, like you're kind of emotionally standing still. I've seen men put their fitness goals on hold, their business goals on hold, and their friendship and all their hobbies. A lot of time is being spent in the back of their mind with thoughts telling themselves that they swear they're going to start prioritizing all of those once they know what's happening with their marriage. If you're thinking in a similar way right now, that is a very dangerous place to be. Your wife has become the custodian of your future, and I can promise you she does not want to be that. But you're making her that by ensuring that your ability to move forward is now dependent on information she hasn't even given you. If your marriage is in a crisis and you're separated, it's not abnormal to have your mind occupied to like the letter of feeling uncertain. What I'm saying is that it's important to differentiate between caring about your marriage and putting your life on hold for your marriage. Caring about your marriage comes from commitment, and you shouldn't be penalized for that. The penalty starts happening to you when you cross the line from caring into emotional dependence. And while you're so involved emotionally in this, it is hard to realize that that line has been crossed. On the side of emotional dependence, you're sitting on the outside of the door waiting to be let back in. You're waiting for permission to feel okay and move forward again. That is a brutal space to live in because every day starts feeling like it's a referendum on your worth, and she controls the vote, and you've handed her the ballot. And I have been caught in this trap before and burned myself thinking the same way you probably are. Waiting feels very loyal. When the person you love is taking the space to be away from you, you believe you're a good guy and you want to put a lot of things on hold while everything gets sorted out in a relationship. It is easy to not see it as a problem because you can rationalize it as proof of commitment. In fact, if I sat down with a lot of men going through separation and told them, you need to stop waiting on life right now, many of them would probably hem and haw, maybe recognize it but not believe it, or would just push back immediately and say, but I love her, like I still want my marriage, I don't want to give up. And I get why they would think that way, and if you're thinking the same thing, it's because what you're afraid of losing isn't just the relationship. The big fear is that you don't want to do anything that you think will hinder your chances of reconciliation, and that if you start living again, she may catch wind and believe she doesn't matter to you anymore. I have felt that fear many times, and it never did anything useful for me in the end. Waiting feels like the loyal and noble thing to do, but waiting for her to choose you is not the same thing as fighting for your marriage. Waiting for her to choose you makes everything in your life when. When she decides, when she tells me, when she figures it out. Do you see the problem? All these conditions are now attached to your growth and your future. This is why it can feel like you are showing her that you are loyal and giving her time to come around, but it really is just creating a dependency and showing weakness because you're slowly handing your emotional power over to someone who may not even know what you're doing, number one. And number two, if she does know, the longer the separation goes on, the heavier that becomes on her shoulders. A lot of separation advice focuses on space. How much space? How little space? How long? How often? When to text, when not to text. And I've talked about those things as well, and they can be useful to a degree, but I think a lot misses the deeper issue, which is not just the physical space, but the emotional suspension. You can give your wife physical space while still making her the center of your emotional universe and nonstop thinking about her. You can follow every no contact rule on the internet and still be completely emotionally dependent. That's why some men technically give space, but never actually create space. And it's in the creation of the space where you can get your entire identity unattached to the outcome and stop revolving around her. If you're just giving space, but you're dependent emotionally on everything about her still, you're just waiting for that next piece of information. It's like after bungee jumping, you're just hanging there on the rope. You're suspended. You're not moving forward. You're not moving backward. You're just essentially hanging there waiting for the people running the bungee jump place to either pull you back up or let you come down safely. Either way, you're at the mercy of them. It is very draining as well because you spend a lot of time suspended in separation and using your energy to basically mentally rehearse conversations that haven't even happened yet, or imagine all these worst case scenarios that don't exist. When often the deeper problem is that you've stopped moving while waiting for the separation to end. And that is a critical mistake that can make or break what happens as far as a reconciliation. You may hear that and think, your wife doesn't even know what you're doing when you're separated. Like, she's not around you every day. How would she possibly know whether you're moving forward or not? A woman may not know every detail of your life during separation. She may not know exactly what you were working on for yourself if you're kind of going to the gym or reading certain books. But if you have any interactions at all, which most likely just because you're separated, you will have some sort of interaction, and for sure you will if you have kids together, but she will be able to feel the energy behind your interactions. She'll know whether you're standing on your own 2 feet or whether you're quietly waiting for her to save you from your pain. And I know if you're going through a separation, it can be a painful experience because it feels like your world has just been picked up in a tornado and spun all over the place. Because that is the case, it makes it even more important for your own emotional recovery to become independent of her participation. If you're secretly hoping every conversation will finally be the one that changes everything, you are going to struggle mightily to get the attraction back for you again in her. You're making reconnection harder if you're making her carry the key that controls your future. If you take the time to create space for yourself and give yourself that emotional independence during separation, that helps create the conditions where attraction, trust, and respect can be fostered again. You're able to have disagreements with her and she can still respect you, and she can still need time and notice your growth concurrently. But she struggles to move toward you if your emotional standing is waiting for her to rescue you. And the thing with separation is that your ability to talk your way into credibility is completely removed. That is a blessing or a curse, depending on what your motive is. The curse is that when you're living together, it's easy to make promises, continued conversations and explanations, sort of keeping her on this rope saying you're going to make all these certain changes. Depending on the relationship, that may keep her on the hook for a long time. The real blessing, and what you should be focused on 100%, is that separation creates distance, which has its own funny way of exposing reality. Now, those words you would tell her basically don't matter at all, and the consistency you're putting into growing yourself is the only thing of consequence. When that space is created, she will now be evaluating, a lot of times subconsciously, who you are becoming. And she's not looking for some amazing, perfectly flawless overnight transformation, but just consistency she hasn't felt in your demeanor in a long time, if ever. This is where the real change shows up. Everybody can say they will make changes. Anybody can promise change while she's still there, or can say they're working on themselves if their wife keeps giving them chance after chance and sticks around. Anybody can claim those things when they're getting what they want, or be confident when everything is working as it should. The real test comes from when you have no idea and you're sitting in this uncomfortable ocean of uncertainty. And this is the mindset that most people will not adopt. But I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, the ones that do adopt this mindset turn separation into an absolutely incredible, powerful season of growth. It forces you to untie all your actions and emotions to outcomes, which is where the real transformation can occur, which will change your life. If you are so focused on every movement she makes and that outcome with her for any action you take, it's going to cause you to abandon any great work you are doing on yourself. If you think, I'm only working on myself because I want to get her back, or I'm being patient in order to get her back, you're putting conditions on doing the right thing for yourself. So if you put an outcome expectation that is tied to her validating or rewarding you, you will be subconsciously tied to that outcome or expectation. And if it doesn't come at a time you deemed arbitrarily acceptable, you change your effort or just kind of flat out quit. And the thing is, you would be on the correct path, but you've tied this unreasonable expectation to it. That is why you have to be committed to moving forward and creating change without that outcome in mind. It should be the wake-up call for bettering your own life first. Now, I want to make an important distinction. When I'm talking about moving forward during separation, it doesn't mean move on. It just has to be understood that men that I've helped reconnect successfully share this in common. At some point, they understood why it was so important to stop making their growth dependent on the relationship. They continue building and becoming the man they want to be regardless. So you have to stop treating separation like a prison sentence, with your wife acting like the warden who determines when you're going to be let out. You have to treat this time like a season of life that you're fully in control of and reclaim your power over yourself. So now that you are in control, what should you be doing while you are separated? Let me give you a few practical things to start with. We already said this, but it kind of has to be emphasized once again. First, stop treating every day like a vote on the marriage. A bad day doesn't mean you're doomed. A good day doesn't mean you're reconciled. Stop riding the emotional roller coaster of daily updates. Second, Build a life rhythm that doesn't depend on her response. Make your life intentional. Make it so you wake up with purpose. It doesn't matter how big or small. If it is training for health, if it's your work or your focus on your business or being that 1% better parent every day, all of that creates momentum for you. Third, when you do have interactions or communication with your wife, focus on steadiness rather than results. A lot of times men in this situation treat communication as a dwindling commodity because they are separated. So they become very validation seeking and are trying to get her to change her mind in that one conversation. Instead, just lead by example without expecting anything in return. Stay calm, present, and respectful. You don't have to perform or convince her of anything. And if there's some contention on her end for whatever reason, please do not take the bait. You have to keep it positive and simply be a new, calmer identity. Fourth, this builds on the last one, but you have to allow your growth to be visible through consistency. You don't owe anybody else anything. Your growth is entirely for you first. So you don't have to explain or promise or make dramatic declarations of your growth. Should you celebrate as you hit little milestones as you're growing in whatever area? Yeah, you absolutely should. But showing up as that consistent you is what helps people trust you. And it's no different with your wife. No need to explain the change, just start embodying it. The strongest evidence of growth is not what you're going to say. It's going to be how she experiences being around you and interacting with you. So if you're currently separated, I understand how painful and exhausting the uncertainty can feel like during this season, and I know the waiting can feel endless, but don't miss the hidden opportunity inside of it. The silent mistake men make during separation is turning it into a waiting room because it feels loyal and like you're fighting for the marriage until the very end. But often, all it really does is keep you anxious and emotionally stuck. Don't waste this season waiting to become the man you could be becoming today. If you use this time correctly, you'll start building yourself into someone who feels completely rejuvenated, and it's what will create the conditions for your wife to start reconnecting with you again. You have to want to make those changes though. Nobody can take that final step for you. But if you want the step-by-step path to rebuilding connection with her, I have a free masterclass that will give you the blueprint. Click on the link in the description below to watch that free masterclass today. You will see exactly what you have to start doing to get your wife moving towards you again. And if you want to know why all the trying harder to fix your marriage never worked, check this video right here.